This episode is brought to you by Soxsense Toe Socks. Toe socks that are designed for comfort, balance, and healthy movement. Head on over to Soxsense.com, use the code Stretch2Go on your order, and now let's head on to today's episode.
Welcome to the Stretch2Go Podcast. My name is Ian Ray, your host. Today I have Adelina Matinca, based out in San Fran, California. She's the CEO of Wildling USA here in North America. So Adelina, welcome back to the Stretch2Go Podcast.
Thanks, Ian. Thanks for having us. And thank you for creating this opportunity again to talk about the spring-summer launch. Thank you for having us.
Yes, you're welcome. So since last time, there has been a few collections that have been dropped, and you guys have been working tirelessly, I'm assuming, for the past few months. Let's talk about these sandals. When I first saw on your guys' site, obviously, like, these are so different for me because I grew up in Hawaii, so I grew up with flip-flops, but these are your sandals that you had, the feather. So kind of talk to us what went along with the designs, inspiration behind it, because there is a uniqueness about this.
Yes. So the feathers that you have, the different colorways that you have there on the table, one of them is actually part of our recently launched Spring-Summer 2026 collection, which is the lavender one. And the other two colorways, which is the black and the blue, that is part of our essential collection, and it's offered year-round. The concept of the feather models are to allow people to explore the outside and also explore the water, any kind of water sports activities that they want to do without hindering the actual material and their performance. So if you wanted to go inside the ocean or rivers or go river rafting with them or kayaking or any kind of water related sport, your paddle boarding, we've seen people here out at Ocean Beach in California using the paddle board and taking them out there. They're really versatile and they're very fussy free. Like, you don't really need to do much for upkeep. All you do is they're all created with a microfiber, and all you need to do with this material is basically dry it out. Usually, most often than not, depending on the sport that you're doing, you're not going to be in the water for the entire day. So as soon as you step outside of the water, then the material starts to dry itself on your foot. People love that. People feel really comfortable in them. They're really easy as well to pack. It rolls up into a ball into basically like nothing, and it fits everywhere. You can remove, if you feel like there's some maybe condensation or dirt particles, you can remove the insole and wash that separately. But I think, and some people also buy fresh insoles to put them inside their feathers. Actually, in all our models, they do this, and that keeps them kind of fresh. Or if you're washing one insole, you have another one ready to go instead of waiting until it dries out. And so, yeah, I think the feather is a really popular model for the summer for people because of the versatility component. And we also have the blue available in kids and toddler sizes. So this really fun way for parents to just or have the kids themselves put it on. It's a really easy, there's no laces or anything, so it's really easy for them to slip in and out. Yeah, so the sole is our traditional sole gap sole. Plus, I think a lot of people, once they put it on their foot, they're like, wow, this looks really cool. And it looks really, that's another aspect of the versatility component, is you put it on and whatever you're wearing, it kind of like really fits in really well with all of the different styles that people can have. It just kind of marries well together, different looks, styles. So it's a nice model to have for sure. And I use it a lot too.
Yeah, I mean, for women, obviously, like, this looks great in dresses, and then for men, shorts, obviously, just, like I said, very sporty. And even for myself, when I'm wearing this, like, you do tend to forget because of that lightweight minimalist feel that you have, which, and that's what Wildling is very proud of, is that minimalist. To be back to nature again is, like you talk about, just protection on your feet. That's all footwear is, the less it is, the more you want to feel. And it's helped me ever since getting to barefoot shoes, just learning how to walk properly as far as like not putting too much pressure on my foot. So it's definitely a great way for myself when transitioning to, minimalist barefoot shoes. This is the ultimate experience of feeling minimalist for those who are transitioning.
Yeah. And
Curious-
also the fact that the shape of the actual sandal, it allows for all your toes to spread naturally as they want to, as depending on what you're doing. And it's not, constricting them, or there's no gap in the middle or somewhere where you have to put your toes or anything like that. It's just naturally your foot just lives in the feather top ecosystem naturally.
I guess for the designs and just the whole idea of it, like what is it like based after? Because you have these lacing system that's so easy to put on because it's fuss free, but the way that it's just like perfectly fits around that foot without having to, even the heel. I'm very particular in where I'm wearing sandals, is that the heel bothers me or really rubs. It has that, like I said, the microfiber feel. It secures enough for your foot to stay in there. But what's the design and the inspiration behind the aesthetic portion of these feathers?
So it's actually the feather. Like if you look at a feather and how is a feather structured, it's the inspiration was from an actual feather. And then we can also share the conceptual components that went into creating and designing the process from inception to what you see now in your hand. We can share that with you, a link to see, so that the audience can see, or the listeners could have a way to go through all that and see how it's actually created and put together. But again, most of our inspiration is from the outside world, like from nature. That's mostly where we get the inspiration from. Even our name, right? It's nature based, and it's this idea of freedom, right? And the idea of how would you feel stepping into this shoe, right? And we always want everyone to feel a sense of home, a sense of freedom at the same time. And so that's where we get most of our inspiration from.
And then as far as like your, I guess these petrels.
Contigua
also,
Patrol.
Yes, I really like it. I literally love it. You can see I've been wearing it to everything from work to even outdoors. We went on a walk here. Same thing. It just reminds me of so much of the Tanuki, just how like feather light it is. Like I said, it's yeah. Kind of go into this too is like the design aspect. Because is this a newer collection? Is it correct?
So this is part of, again, yes, you are correct. This is part of our spring summer 2026 collection. And the difference between the Tanuki model and this model, which is the Contigua Patrol, is this is a certified organic cotton textile that we're using to create this model. And the Tanuki model is a Japanese washi paper textile. From a functionality perspective, the Tanuki, which is made out of the washi paper textile, is intended for and allows people, again, to submerge their footwear into water. And so it's water permeable. And so you don't have to worry about getting them wet. In fact, you should be getting them wet. You should be putting them through that. Whereas cotton absorbs water. And so, yes, you can, if you're stuck out there, in the rain or something with them, it's not a problem, but it might not be as comfortable for you to go, inside the ocean with them as perhaps the Tanuki model, which is a much lighter textile. So I would say that would be the two differences. And of course, the colorway. It's a really fun color that's available for this in our recently launched collection. And people do really love it. And in terms of the sole, you're absolutely correct. It is exactly the same sole as the Tanuki. It's exactly the same sole that we have. And people really, really love this. So yeah. And I'm glad that you're taking it to work. I think this is also, that's what I mean about versatility, right? Like if you're walking to work, then maybe you're going for a walk, maybe you're going out to dinner or something. It travels well with you into these different scenarios without you having to worry about, now I have to take this shoe off and worry about putting something else on. So yeah, I think that's a really nice model as well.
Plus, I'll be transparent. I don't have a lot of colors in my collection of shoes. This has just helped me to remember
This is the burst of color.
Yes, yes. I was just looking at my shoe, my stackers of shoe. Like, man, that's kind of sad to have just very monotone, which in a good way. It's not too vibrant, but sometimes, I mean, especially with spring, summer, like I would love to have bringing back some colors back into my closet and into my life because
Yeah.
the dreaded winter, like I personally had gone to monotone, just simple colors, and then spring, summer, and it just makes sense to me. So,
Our new collection is all about, right? It's about color. It's about having fun. It's about daring and an opportunity for you to explore new areas and give yourself the permission to have new ideas. Yeah, hopefully the footwear will definitely carry you through those different concepts.
what other um, collections or things that have you guys been I guess released? I know probably don't have it on with me, but kind of talk about like other shoes and collections, because of the fact that there's always a ever changing presence of footwear, or you're meeting customers. So what are some other things that we probably can talk about also?
The new colorway is a huge theme for us for this was a huge theme for us for this collection, for this 2026 collection. And the idea is to introduce the colorways, fun different colorways to all the different size range, and also like different model categories. So we have, as you know, sandals, like you have it on your tables, the sandals, then the low cut, that would be a Contigua, Tanuki models, and then also mid cut models. So this now you're looking at, at Medoyas, Marty Stellar is also part of the recently launched collection. And just so that you have this vibrancy and colorway as you enter into the spring and summer. We also have I think we talked about the rainy day, which is our rain boot. And this entirely also builds into the functionality component as well. And this also comes in different colors for adults and also for kids. And this also is a really fun model that, you can see, and we think we will introduce new colorways even more than what you've seen, what we have. So I think that's something fun to look forward to. And then our classic essential collection. These are classic models that are offered year round. They don't really change from a color perspective, but these are classic models that people really love and gravitate towards. And then the seasonal chapter on our website is based on seasonality and of course the corresponding colorways to that.
Yeah, your spring and summer collection. How far in advance do you guys like plan these out? 6 months out, 6 months out, like a year out?
A year, sometimes more, depending on the model and depending on the for example, the rain boot that took us 2-3 years, perhaps even more. I think that was even more. So it's a turnaround time, even though you may not start the construction of the shoe from scratch, like the rain boot. The rain boot was a completely new model, completely new functional level that required us to have a little bit more time, more research. But if we're just talking about a new colorway of an existing model, it doesn't happen overnight. It's quite a lot of work. Yeah.
And to make it even like sustainable, I guess, as far as like the materials and like making sure that you guys are not like wasting scraps, or like a high turnover, because like it's not a factory where you're just spitting it out. You guys are thoughtful. I'm sure you guys have some kind of research or like some data where you know how many orders to make ahead of time, or like I don't know what goes into it, because I'm sure there are factors out there that they can mass produce, but then there's a lot of abundance and that goes to the waste and to landfills and who knows where. But I'm just trying to see from the wildling perspective.
Yes, absolutely. We do have records of quantities that most likely we will hit. And so we go in with, producing specific models with that intention to keep the waste to a minimum. We also use leftover materials. Sometimes we would be finished, making that specific model and there's leftover materials. This materials we take and we create new models in addition with other leftover materials so that these materials do not go to waste. And we use all the leftover for either a revamped new colorway or a new model. And how we decide what size range to offer is based on the limitation of the material textile amount. So sometimes we'll come out with a textile with a new model because we only had a certain amount of textile, and we'll only do this for, kids size ranges because we didn't have enough to go kids, adults, toddlers. And sometimes we'll go the full range depending on how much of this we have left over. But we're very aware of we're very aware and alert of the leftover textile. And we do integrate that into our planning. And we have for quite I think since the beginning, we have been doing that. So it's not something new to us at all.
I guess this is a topic as far as like, I know I've asked you last time like about like the barefoot shoe industry and, where that's evolving, because in Europe, it's more common, not common, but I think more people wear barefoot shoes, or it's common to see it. But here in America, we are finding, I don't know. I mean, you probably will know longer because I haven't been in barefoot shoes for 2 years, but I'm unearthing and I'm researching. I'm looking at, the landscape of footwear, or even just just the population that the thicker, it's getting thicker, these shoes. So where do you see the way that footwear is going here in the USA? Because we know people in Europe love minimalist shoes. They love less is more. But here in America, we love it thick. I don't know what it is. How I'm trying to talk about.
Yeah, I think what you're alluding to is kind of like the sole of the shoe and needing more protection, like thinking that the North American populace needing more protection instead of less protection. Whereas in Europe, you might have a different mindset where you're thinking earthiness, naturalist, and you're thinking, how can I be, that essentially leads to being barefoot. But how can I still be protected from the elements? Then you gravitate towards something very minimalistic, something very thin and earthbound and more that caters towards the natural look of you and shape of your foot, rather than kind of, just focusing on the protection from the elements part. I think the idea of barefoot shoes is still quite niche in North America. I think that I do, however, think that people are starting to really recognize the positive aspects of minimal shoes and how their lives change and how different they feel after wearing minimal shoes. And I think we'll see a shift as people become more conscientious of health matters, of sustainability issues, of all of these pressing topics that are, everyone is discussing. I think you will see a lot more people gravitate towards minimal shoes. How long will this take until this becomes the new norm? It's hard to tell. I think it's it's hard to tell. It's hard to navigate that, quantify that. But I think we're good on the way, I think. And we'll see a shift for sure.
Yeah. Because the population and like the demographics that I typically interact with, at my practice is the active adults, people who are like in performance sports, people who are really into fashion. And so I'm trying to help educate them, like, let's look at your foot, because yes, you're coming here with some certain issues, whether if it's low back pain, hip, but whenever I ask them to take off the shoes and then of course to, roll out their foot, or to do a simple test of, reaching for the ground, just some flexibility and mobility issues, I'm finding a lot more people. And of course, I have to inform them, like, maybe these issues that are happening, or it could stem from your footwear. So I have to help them change their perspective of what a shoe is, and of course helping them look at their foot and compare it to what it looks like now into a shoe, and that's like, say, a whole mind shift.
Yes, but I do believe, Ian, I agree wholeheartedly with what you're saying. And I think you can walk people through the different concepts, and they totally even might click, make sense instantly when you're talking to them. But I truly, truly believe in just being in this space for a while now. The aha moment happens when the person who you're talking to actually steps into the footwear, into the minimal footwear. I think that's where the explanation is not even really necessary. It's just for them. It's something that clicks, and you just see their face expression completely change, and their mannerisms, even the posture immediately, like without saying a word about minimal shoes. If someone takes, their shoes off and they've never experienced minimal shoes before, maybe they're not a fan of walking barefoot and they step into it, you just see a complete shift in posture or just small behavior things that you just immediately pick up on. And so do they. And then they will start to talk about how they're feeling and why they're feeling this way in the shoe. And so I think that is essential. I think that is a real essential part that maybe needs to be a lot more explored.
Okay. To feel it. So they need to feel it to understand
exactly.
what I'm talking
to have
about, right?
Right. Exactly. Point.
So I guess in essence, the more people who transition into it, because like that's another thing too. Like some people might see this as super extreme minimalism, like where they can't take it because they have to transition. So what is your take in transitioning into like a more minimal, sole rather than like a barefoot-esque foot-shaped shoe that has padding? So like, I guess what would you say as far as transitioning to, foot-shaped shoes?
Yeah, I think I can share some of our customer stories because I think they're like customer testimonials and the way some of our customers have never been in minimal shoes. They didn't want to try it out. They were hesitant. They took their time to actually try it out. And one of their convincing arguments to themselves that they shared with us was, well, I just bought an additional insole, and this additional insole that I then put in your shoes made me feel as though this will help me a lot with the transition. So we've seen a lot of comments where this transition period can essentially happen with an additional sole, or some people even put their own soles in the shoe. I've seen this too, but I think it's definitely a comfort level. You need to feel comfortable, and you need to feel comfortable in your own way. So there is no sweeping, this is what you have to do in order to transition, or like magic kind of 3-step into the transition process. I think it's trying it on, seeing how that feels, because you get an immediate reaction from that trying on moment, and then ease into it. Right? The transition is always ease into whatever it is that you're doing, and not overdo it or not, feel like now you have to do things differently. No, you're just going about your everyday life and you're integrating this into it. And how does that feel for you? That's an individual process.
Yeah, I think that makes sense because each person has a different story that they're coming into across, minimalist barefoot shoes. So they each will have their own tolerance, but also reasoning why they're getting into it. I guess that's another thing is like, why are you getting to minimal shoes rather than your conventional shoes? Because maybe they've experienced a foot pain, or maybe they just want more sensation back in their feet. So, I think that's the great thing about this podcast. I interviewing people like yourself is like, I'm just really educating and trying to get more people aware that there are different takes, but we're all trying to just figure out, and we're all trying to really get our bodies back into its natural form, the way that it used to be, the foot, and how that's such a powerhouse of your body, because when your foot is not functioning and working the way it is, it can travel upstream, and it takes away so much joy of life. And so, I know it because I've experienced it in my past, and that's where I've created this podcast, because I want to share my story. I want people to be interested and explore the options of how footwear can help you get to where you want to be. So, I mean, this is definitely not a fix all, but it's a journey. And that's what I love about getting people like yourself here, because it helps me to say that there is a lot to learn in my own perspective of footwear and natural footwear.
Well, first, I'm really glad that you're incorporating Wildling and us into your journey, into your podcast. We're really grateful for that. And we like to, we like to support and share and be extremely transparent with our knowledge and what we have found and learned. And it's a journey for us as well. I think it's a journey for all of us, to be honest. So the more we can share and the more we can help each other, I think the better everyone will be. And in terms of how someone responds to that, that's an individual journey and process. But if we can show up as best we can for and meet the individuals wherever that juncture may be, I'm happy. We're happy. I think, yeah. And I think you're right. I think you do need a collective joint village to not only spread your knowledge and wealth of resources, but also go through this journey together.
I'm looking forward to more of what you guys have in store. But where can my audience and followers learn more? And of course, to look at all the new collections. So where can they find you guys? Social, email, website?
Yeah. So for IG, we're at Wildling, WILDLING .shoes. You can also subscribe to our newsletter. That is the best way that people can learn about our upcoming launches, special drops, restocks. We'll share the link after with you, but it's through our website. It's an easy, either you put in your email address or your phone number, depending on what's more convenient for you. And then we usually send out newsletters or SMS messages once a week. So it's not too intense of a communication journey. You could also go to our website shops to visit, of course, our new collections, launches, as well as our accessories and our essentials. And that is for the US, it's us.wildling.shoes. And for the international, it's wildling.shoes. So yeah. And we, in terms of for the US, we're now shipping everything outside of our new US logistic hub. So all the orders for both US and Canadian customers will be coming out from that logistics center. So you can expect lower rates. We've already lowered our shipping rates as well as our time frame for shippings.
Perfect. Well, Adelina, it's been a pleasure to have Wildling back here in the podcast and talk about this and really sharing your knowledge and your experience. So thanks so much for hopping on.
Thanks so much, Ian, for having us. See you next time.